Hello everyone, it's Glenda and welcome back to my channel, Creative Grandma. I hope everyone is having a happy crochet or knitting day. Well, today I have some wonderful yarns to show you from Universal Yarns. So I have a small unboxing to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the yarns, and then because they only sent one skein of each yarn, I'm going to work up a sample, show you what it looks like worked up, give you my thoughts of what I think, and then I'm going to do a wash dry test and give you the results of that. Now, before I start my unboxing, I have a few updates. Now, I am closing my Patreon account. So anyone who has been a patron of my channel for the last several years, I want to thank you for your support of my Patreon page and for your support of my channel. Now, my mom is back in the hospital. She's having a lot of health issues. That's why I'm not producing the videos like I have been, because I always said family comes first. So just not getting quite as many videos out. So I'm trying to sneak a video in here in between going back and forth to the hospital. But I just feel that I can't give enough attention to my Patreon page any longer. So I just think it's best to close it down. And if you want to support the channel, you can always use the super thanks. So let me go ahead, open my box. I'm excited to see these yarns. Now, some of these yarns I have used before. Some of them are brand new to me. So I'm really excited. And this box is courtesy of Universal Yarns. They sent these yarns to me for me to try, test them out, and see what I think. So here is my sampler box, a beautiful black box. This says Universal Yarns, knit, relax, smile, and repeat. So let's go ahead and open it up. Has beautiful tissue paper, and look what's inside. Oh, I see a tape measure. So a nice little tape measure they sent me, so thank you for that. Push button, it pulls right back in. So I'm just going to go ahead, take them out of the box one by one, and then we're going to go over all the beautiful yarns. Oh, I love this one. Oh, there's even more down here. Oh my goodness. So there's 7 different yarns. So I'm going to get started with the first yarn, and again I'm going to show you the yarns first because I only have one skein of each yarn, and then I'm going to work up a small sample, give you my opinion of what and how it felt working it up, and then do the wash and dry test. So the first one is the Bamboo Pop. This is 50% cotton, 50% bamboo. It comes in a 100-gram ball, 3.5 ounces, 226 meters, 292 yards. It is classified as a number 3 lightweight yarn. Now here are the international symbols for the wash and dry test, and I always have trouble with these symbols. I like it better when they actually put it on the label whether you can wash and dry it. So I did not look these up, but I will show them to you. You can look that up if you wish. It does look like you can machine wash, but I think this means lay flat to dry when it has the line through it. So I'm going to say machine wash, lay flat to dry for this one. Now this is a gorgeous deep royal purple. Oh, it is royal. This is color 116 royal. So feeling the yarn, this is really soft. Now this is a DK weight blend of 50% cotton, 50% bamboo that looks beautiful in garments and accessories for all ages. Very, very soft. I was very happy with this yarn. Now this yarn sells for $11 a ball. And there's 67 colors available. So there should be a color for just about everyone with 67 colors. So that's the first yarn. Now the second yarn they sent me was the Universal Yarn Color Burst. Now it's very, very small, but it does come in a 7 ounce, 200 gram, 660 yards, 600 meters. This is classified as a number 3 lightweight yarn, and this DK weight blend of acrylic and wool is stunning in garments and accessories. The single ply construction features long color runs that gently fade one to the next and has excellent stitch definition. Now this colorway here, let me turn it over. This is color 103 Aries, and you're going to see beautiful purples, blues, a little bit of a greenish color here. And then this is what I want to say, a brownish purple mixed through here. So let's take a look at the wash and dry instructions. Now this does say machine wash warm, tumble dry low. So this is machine wash and dryable. So this could be wonderful for just about anything from shawls to even afghans, since it's wash and dryable. So I'll be testing this yarn out and I'll get back to you of what I think. Now feeling the yarn, this again is another very soft yarn. Very happy with the feel of the yarn. Very happy with the colors, and very happy that has a little bit longer color run with those colors. And that's wonderful when you're making those larger projects. Now the color burst has 16 different colors in this line, and it sells for $21 a cake. And remember, this is the larger 200 gram, 660 yards for $21. So let me show you the next yarn they sent me. The next yarn is the Universal Yarn Deluxe Worsted Superwash. So let's look down here at the label. I'm going to try to get it as close as I can. It's very small print. It's 3.5 ounces, 100 grams, 218 yards. 200 meters, and this is classified as a number 4 medium weight yarn. So let's look at the wash and dry instructions clear down here. Now it says machine wash warm, tumble dry low. So again, a wonderful machine wash, tumble dry. So this again would be wonderful for just about anything from small projects to the larger projects. And we love those wash and dryable yarns. Deluxe Worsted Superwash is super soft with incredible stitch definition. This yarn looks beautiful in everything from cables to lace and is popular for sweaters and blankets. Now, this says it's super soft. I agree it's soft, but I don't think it's like a silky super soft. It's just a soft yarn. Now, the Deluxe Worsted Superwash has a total of 60 different colors, and it sells for $12 a ball. And this is color 715 Teal Viper. Now I'm not sure if I give the color number for the color burst. Let me grab that again. This was color 103 Aries for the color burst, and then the Deluxe Worsted Superwash was color 715 Teal Viper. The next yarn was one I really wanted to try. This was called the Universal Yarn Magnolia. So let me get the label up there so you can read it right along with me. It's a 3.5 ounce, 100 gram, 361 yards, 330 meters. It's a super fine. This yarn is 95% modal, 5% cashmere. Now, if you're looking for a super soft, silky yarn, this is amazingly soft. I just wish you could reach in and feel the softness of this yarn. And I'm not kidding. This is extremely soft. This is something that you would truly enjoy next to your skin. Now, the Magnolia yarn is a fingering weight blend of modal and cashmere. The Magnolia is suitable for spring, autumn projects that are vibrant and delicate. This yarn has incredible drape, making it well suited to lace stitch patterns. And again, if you're looking for a super soft, beautiful modal cashmere yarn, this Magnolia is just wonderfully soft. Now again, this is the first time I've ever seen this yarn, touched it and felt it, so I'm anxious to try to work up a sample. And then on the back, you're going to see the wash and dry instructions. It says machine wash cool, tumble dry low. So I'm excited that this is machine wash and dryable because I didn't think it would be, and it is. So that makes it even more appealing to me. Now the Magnolia is $17 a skein. And there's 15 different colors available. But you have to remember, $17 is not bad with that cashmere blend. I am so excited about this yarn. The next sample they sent me was the Universal Yarns Cotton Supreme Speckles. Isn't that pretty? Now this yarn, they have 6 different colorways available. So let's go ahead and read the information on the label. It comes in a 3.5 ounce, 100 gram, 180 yards, 165 meters. This is classified as a number 4 medium weight yarn. Looking down here, it does say it's machine wash warm, tumble dry. So I'm so excited. So many of these yarns are machine wash and dryable. There's so many more possibilities when you can throw your item in the washer and dryer for easy care. Now the yarn is made in Turkey. The Cotton Supreme Speckles is the same Cotton Supreme you love, now with speckles. This yarn looks best in simple stitch patterns for garments and accessories. You'll love wearing this for next to your skin comfort. 100% cotton with a splash of colors. So this is a really pretty yarn. Now this yarn sells for $12 a skein, and again there's 6 different colorways available. The next yarn is the Universal Yarns Uptown Bamboo DK. Now this is an anti-pilling yarn, which anti-pilling yarns means that it helps prevent pilling and fuzz balls, and it keeps your item looking new wash after wash. Now this yarn comes in a 3.5 ounce, 100 gram, 284 yards, 260 meters, and this is classified as a number 3 lightweight yarn. It is machine wash cool, tumble dry low. So again, wonderful that I'm seeing all these machine wash and dryable yarns. Now to the feel of the yarn, this is really super soft. This almost has a silky feel, between silky and just super soft. Very happy with the feel of this yarn. So the Uptown Bamboo DK is a stunning and silky soft blend of bamboo and anti-pilling acrylic. This yarn has incredible stitch definition and drape. A great choice for baby clothing, blankets, and adult garments and accessories. It's 80% anti-acrylic and 20% bamboo. Now this yarn, there's 38 colors and it sells for $7 a skein. So if you want that little higher end yarn for those special projects, I believe that this could become one of your favorites. Very soft. It has everything that a knitter or crocheter is looking for in a DK weight yarn. So I have one more yarn to show you. The next yarn is Offbeat, and I had this in my last video, and I did start working up a sample, and I was so pleased with this yarn. It's soft on the cake, but when you start working up a project, it's even softer. It has a softer feel when you start working it up, just really soft. So the Offbeat yarn comes in a 5.25 ounce cake, 150 grams, 586 yards, 536 meters. Now this is classified as a number 2 fine weight yarn. It's 90% acrylic with 10% alpaca. And I believe that alpaca is what makes this so super soft. It's just a wonderful feeling yarn. Now it is machine wash cool, tumble dry low. So again, another yarn that you can put in the washing machine and the dryer. beautiful colorways with this. You're seeing brown tones, light tannish brown. You're seeing a pinkish tone. You're seeing blue. And then this is like a gray shade, like a real light gray, maybe a light shade of blue mixed in, but I think it's more gray. Then you're going to see the cream, the brown, the pink, the blue, and you're going to see those colors continue around, repeating themselves. Just a gorgeous colorway. This colorway is color 101 Peace. So there's that colorway again. Now the offbeat is a self-striping cake you will be obsessed with. This blend of acrylic and alpaca is squishy and soft, making it a wonderful choice for blankets and sweaters. Luxury feel at a price you'll love. Now there's 8 different colorways available, and it sells for $15 a cake. And what I like to tell people is a lot of people look for those cheaper yarns, but you have to realize there is a difference sometimes, and some of these yarns is worth paying that little extra money for the difference in the feel and the way the project looks. But it's all up to you of what you like to use. So let me go ahead, work up some samples, and I'll be right back and show you these yarns worked up. So I'm back. I have my samples made up. Now this video may be a little choppy because of the way I'm doing it. I got 1 skein of yarn, so I tried to work up some samples just to give you an idea of what I thought of the feel of the yarn, how it worked up. And then I'm going to show you all the samples, and then I'm going to throw them all in the washer and dryer, and then I'll come back and show you the results. So let's go ahead, talk a little bit about the yarn, how it worked up, and I'll show you my samples. Now my samples are different sizes and different stitch patterns. So I'm going to start with the bamboo pop. I was very happy with this yarn. I love the feel of it. It's soft. I like the way my stitches looked. I like the way it worked up. Now I did make just a small granny square, and this granny square here measures 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 inches. So once I put it in the washer and dryer, then we'll measure it and see if it shrunk, if it got fuzz balls, and just see how this fared through the washer and dryer. But my overall rating was I really enjoyed this yarn. Again, I like the feel, I like the stitch definition, I like the softness, and I think this would be wonderful for maybe a crocheted top, something for a baby if you're looking for a soft yarn for a baby sweater or a baby blanket. Just a very nice yarn for just about anything that you want to use a number 3 lightweight yarn for. So one of the other yarns that I showed you was the Color Burst. This is the colorway. Now I did not work up all the different colors because the colors are pretty long, but I did work up a small sample. Now this sample here measures 7 1/4 inches by 6 1/4 inches. I just did a half double crochet V-stitch, just a little bit lacy pattern. But I did want you to see, you have to look really close. You can see how subtle the color changes are. And that's one of the things I really liked about this yarn. It just softly transitioned to the next color. So let me hold that up. Maybe you can see it a little bit better. See how pretty the transition from those colors are. If you look down here, you're going to see a little bit of that purple, then you're going to see it blend into this green, and then back to the purple. Now I'm not sure how it's going to blend with this darker color here and then into the blue, but at least it gives you a little bit of idea of how this color works up. Now overall, I thought it worked up nice. Now this sample I did not feel was as soft as the bamboo pop. If you want something really soft, then I would say the bamboo pop is softer than the Color Burst. But this is a superwash merino wool mixed with acrylic, so you can feel what I want to call a little bit wool feeling to the yarn. It's not scratchy, but it's just not as soft as the bamboo pop. And I know that might not help you very much, but that's the only way I know how to explain it. So again, I love the way the colors transition to one another, and I just thought it was really pretty. Now they do have several colors available in the color burst, and I think all of them are beautiful, and you can check that out on Universal's website. So that is my next sample, and we'll take a look at it after I wash and dry it. Now the next yarn is the Deluxe Worsted Superwash, and here is my sample. Now this sample is 8 3/4 inches across by 4 inches high, just a small sample. You can see the stitch definition. Now this sample I felt was softer than the color burst. It had a little softer feel to it for a superwashed wool. And again, the color burst had that acrylic mixed in, which might have been what made the difference between the feel of the yarns. So I was happy with the results, and then we'll see what happens when we wash and dry it. Then we have the Uptown Bamboo DK. Now this yarn is 80% anti-pilling, 20% bamboo. It's super silky soft. This is just such a soft, excellent yarn. Now I was working up my sample, and my sample measures 8.5 across by 3 3/4 inches tall. I love the stitch definition. I love the way this yarn worked up. Now I did have a little bit of trouble with the yarn splitting when I was crocheting. Not a lot, but every now and then I would get some splitting with the yarn. But I really like the stitch definition. If you're looking for a yarn where you want some beautiful drape for maybe a crocheted top, or you want something soft and silky in the way of a baby blanket, or you want to make a baby sweater, or you're just looking for a nice DK weight yarn, I believe you would be happy with this, even though it did split a little bit. Just wonderful stitch definition. The next yarn was the Offbeat yarn. That was the cake yarn. Now the color changes are pretty long, so I wanted to crochet up at least a couple colors in the cake so you could see how wide those color changes were. So let me get my tape measure, and you have to remember, if you're working a wider project, these will be shorter. They'll be narrower. So I'm going to measure the white. This white measures 3 1/4 inches high. And my sample is about 11 1/4, 11 1/2 inches wide. So it gives you an idea of how far that one color burst is. So now I'm going to measure the second color. Now again, it's about 11 1/2 inches wide. And the blue is about 3, I'd say 3 1/2, 3 1/4 inches wide. So if you're making a wider project, then I would say if you're making this about, so if you make this about 33 inches wide, say for a baby blanket, then this would probably be about a 1-inch strip, depending on what stitch pattern you're using. So you would know that you're going to have these colors probably like this, 2 3 rows, 2 3 rows, 2 3 rows. If you're making a scarf, then you're going to get the wider colors in your project. Now you can see I did work up a little bit of the brown here, then it goes to the white, and then this bluish gray, and then I started in the pink, and then I did not get this beautiful blue in there, but you can see how the colors repeat. But at least it gives you an idea of how wide, maybe what it looks like. Now this yarn I felt was cozy soft. It's 90% acrylic, 10% alpaca, and I think the alpaca just gives it a wonderful look, a wonderful softness. Now I have 2 more yarns to show you samples of. Now my next sample was made using the Universal Yarns Cotton Supreme Speckles. This is 100% cotton, and you can see it's cream color with all these brightly colored specks through it. And this is just a small sample of the moss stitch. Now this sample measures 9 3/4 inches across by 4.5 inches tall. But you can see how the colors are just sporadically placed throughout. That's the front. This is the back. Just a pretty yarn if you just want a splash of colors. Now, if you're looking for 100% cotton yarn, this is soft. It has a wonderful feel. You can see the stitch definition, and it's just a wonderful 100% cotton yarn. I have no complaints about this yarn whatsoever. Very happy with the Cotton Supreme Speckle. Now, the last yarn I have a sample to show you was the Magnolia. This was 95% modal, 5% cashmere. To me, this is what I want to call a luxury yarn. It's silky soft, and oh, I just wish you could have feel-o-vision and just reach in and feel this yarn. Oh my goodness. Let me show you my sample. Now this sample is only 6 inches by 3 3/4 inches, but look how beautiful this yarn works up. It's silky soft. It has a beautiful drape. It's an excellent yarn for baby items if you want something spectacular. And I'm talking really spectacular. I am so pleased with this yarn. I have some ideas for some baby sweaters, and I thought this is the perfect yarn if you want something super delicate, super soft, and a little bit luxurious. Very happy with the results. Now this stitch pattern here, I could see maybe a baby blanket for the spring season when you just want something to cover the baby. I could see this as maybe a scarf, maybe a shawl made out of this. And you can just see it has beautiful drape, and look at that stitch definition. Very, very happy with this. Even though it's a super fine weight yarn, sometimes we want those more delicate yarns for those special little projects. Overall, I'm very happy. I must say that my favorite of all these yarns was the Magnolia. I was just so happy to try this yarn. And sometimes when you're seeing these yarns, you're just afraid to try them because you're not sure if you're going to like them. You're not sure if you're going to like a super fine yarn. But I have to tell you, sometimes you have to break out of your comfort zone and just try something new. And like I tell everyone, just buy one skein and see if you like it before you buy a lot of a yarn you may not like. But this was my favorite, this one and the Bamboo Pop. I thought this was an excellent yarn. It was silky soft. It had a beautiful look to it. Now I did make the granny square, but this is a number 3. So this is a little thicker, but I feel it still gives you that silky soft feel, and it still gives you beautiful stitch definition. Let me get that out of there. Now it's a little dark of a color, but you can still see that. But these two were my favorite. Now, if you're familiar with any of these universal yarns that I showed you today, please write in the comment section your experience with these yarns, so they're not only getting my opinion, they're also getting your opinion. And these videos are for information purposes, and please remember, it's my opinion based on what I think working with the yarn, and your opinion may be different than mine. So let me go ahead and put these in the washer and dryer, and I'll be back and we'll review the results. So here is my pile of samples straight from the dryer. So I'm just going to grab the largest one, and we're going to start with that one. So let me hand press it. Let's take a look to see if it got fuzz balls. I don't see a lot of fuzziness to it, just a little bit here. That's normal. That's what it looked like before I washed it. That's the alpaca. So very happy with the wash and dry with this one. Not a lot of fuzziness. It's soft. So let me hand press it and let's measure it. Now this is the offbeat sample, and this measured 11.5 by 8.5. So let's go ahead and measure it. It measures 11.5, so it did not shrink across wise. and it measures 8.5 inches tall. So this sample did not shrink. It did not get real fuzzy. It just has the same look that it did before I threw it in the washer. So let's give it an up close look one more time. That is the results. So very happy with the results of the Upbeat. Let's take a look at the next sample. Now the next sample is the Cotton Supreme Speckles sample. Now it does look a little bit distorted coming out of the dryer. You just have to kind of hand press it back in place. Now this sample measured 9 3/4 across, so let's measure it. It measures about 9.5 inches depending on where you measure it. This one down here is 9 3/4, and then up here it's like 9.5. So I just think it has to do with how you hand press it back in shape. So pretty close to the original measurement. And then it measured 4.5 inches from the top to the bottom. So it measures about 4 1/4. It depends where you measure it. This is 4.5 up here, and in the center it's 4 1/4. So again, this is a little distorted after I washed and dried it, but again, I think if you hand press it, you'll probably get back to the original measurements. So let's take a look. So I'm not seeing a whole lot of fuzziness. You can see a little up here, just typical normal. It's really hard to see. It's really hard to see, so not a lot. When you look at the stitches, you're going to see it doesn't have a lot of fuzziness. Turn it over. So very happy with the results, but I think because of this stitch pattern being the moss stitch, I think it distorted a little. So I think it all depends on the stitch pattern that you're using. So that is my second sample from the wash and dry test. This is my third sample. This is the Uptown Bamboo DK. So again, when they come out of the dryer, they may be distorted. And that's why a lot of people like to hand wash, lay flat to dry, because they shape it and then it dries that way. So sometimes when you put them in the dryer, they can get a little distorted. So I hand pressed it back in shape. Now this sample was 8.5 inches across, so let's go ahead and measure it. It's now 8 inches. I'm going to move it up here, 8 inches, and down at the bottom it says 8 1/4. So it shrunk about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch, depending where you're measuring. And then it said it's 3 3/4 inches from top to bottom before I put it in the laundry. And now it says 4 inches. So I think it may depend on how you hand press it, if you stretch it too far. But it did shrink a little crossways, but it grew a little going up and down. And again, when you're hand pressing, you could have stretched it out of shape a little bit. So that is the results of the Uptown Baby. Again, it did shrink about 1/4 to 1/2 inch crossways, but then up and down it should have been 3 3/4. So it's only about 1/4 inch difference, but it got larger going from top to bottom. The next sample, this is how it come out of the dryer. Now this one did say machine wash, tumble dry low. I'm very unhappy with the results of my wash and dry test. This is one that if I spend this kind of money on this type of yarn, I'm going to lay this project flat to dry. I'm not going to put it in the dryer. So a little distorted, so let me try to hand press this back in shape. Let me get rid of this end here. And I would probably have to wet press this, like wet press it with a damp towel to get this back in shape. So not happy with the results of the dry test with this one. Now this sample measured 6 inches across, and it still measures 6 inches across, and then it's 3 3/4 inches from the top to bottom. So if I pressed it back into shape, it would probably go back to the 3 3/4 inches. But right now it's at 3 1/2 inches. So I'm really not happy with the results of how this distorted, but you can see the more you hand press it, the more it's going to try to go back to shape. But this, I feel you would end up having to wet press it to get that down and try to hand press it back in shape. So my suggestion, this is a beautiful yarn. I love the look of the stitch pattern. I love the stitch definition. I do love that I'm not seeing a lot of fuzziness. I'm going to put my finger here. You can see just a little bit of fuzziness here. Let's take a look at the stitches. Very happy, not a lot of fuzziness, just a little tiny bit on those edges. Going to turn it over. But again, this is how it come out. It's losing its shape. And this is a wonderful yarn. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to purchase this yarn because I love the feel and I think this is perfect for a little baby sweater. But you have to remember, I would hand wash, lay flat to dry. I don't think I would even put this yarn in the washer and dryer. But that is just my opinion. So based on my results, you have to use your own opinion of what you think. And if anyone has experience with this yarn, go ahead and leave a comment in the comment section because I think it's a wonderful yarn. I'm just not happy with the wash-dry test. So let's move on to the next sample. Now this is my next sample directly from the dryer. You can see that it has that kind of distorted look. So again, I'm just going to hand press it. This was machine wash, tumble dry low. So again, you're going to have to kind of wet press after you dry it, but maybe because they're such small samples, that's why it's doing this. So I'm just going to kind of hand press it so I can try to take a measurement. Now this sample, before I washed and dried it, was 8 3/4 inches wide. So let's go ahead and measure it. About 8.5, just a hair over 8.5. So it's close to 8 3/4, but just a hair smaller. And then it measured 4 inches from the top to bottom. So let me get it right on the bottom and then measure it to the top. So it is almost the same exact size. So let's take a look at the fuzziness. Let me get my hand behind there. I see a little bit of fuzziness here, not a lot. You can see a little bit on those edges. Let's take a look at the stitches. So just a tiny bit of fuzziness. There's the bottom. Let's flip it over on the other side. And again, this is just for you to see my results. You may have different results and you may have a different opinion of what you're seeing. So again, that is the Deluxe Worsted Superwash directly from the washer and dryer. My next sample is the Bamboo Pop. Now this one, I believe, it doesn't have it written, machine washable, but I think that means lay flat to dry, and I did put this in the dryer on low heat, so we'll take a look at the results. So I'm happy with the results. This was just a little granny square. Again, it may need wet press to get it flat, but it's just one little sample. So this square measured 4 1/4 inches by 4 1/4 inches. So let's go ahead and measure. It now measures 3 3/4 inches, so it did shrink. Let me get that tape measure right on there. It's about 3 3/4 inches. And then it's about 3 3/4 inches. So it did shrink, but again, the label is machine wash, lay flat to dry. But I'm happy with the results. I'm not seeing any fuzziness. I can still see great stitch definition. That's the front. And let's turn it over, and that's the back. So again, this one did shrink a little bit, so you have to take that into consideration if you're making something, or you could follow the recommended instructions and just machine wash, lay flat to dry. This was thrown in the dryer with the other samples, so that might be why it shrunk a little bit. So I have one more sample to show you. The last sample is the Color Burst, and again, this is directly out of the dryer. This is what it looks like, and because these are small samples, again, I think that's why they look like they look, but it gives you an indication of how it's going to come out of the dryer. So this was machine washed, tumble dry low, and they were all dried on low heat. So this sample measured 7 1/4 inches across. So I'm just going to kind of hand press it so it kind of looks square. So let's go ahead and measure. It should be 7 1/4 inches. So it's 7 1/4 inches here, but down here it looks a little wider. It's 7 3/4, 7.5 to 7 3/4. And up here, it's about 7 1/4. So down at the bottom, again, you can just mess with this. You can wet press it back into shape. But this one did not shrink. It actually seems to be the same size, 7 1/4. And then from top to bottom, it should be 6 1/4 inches. So this is from the bottom to the top, I'm getting about 6 inches. So if I go to the top of the V stitch, 6 inches. So it shrunk about 1/4 of an inch. But then again, if you wet press it, it's probably going to go back and you're going to get that 1/4 of an inch back. So that was the results of the wash and dry test. And again, remember, this video is my opinion only. This video is to give you information about some of the gorgeous yarns that Universal Yarn has to offer. It's my opinion of what I thought when I was working with the yarns. And remember, this is just my opinion of the results I got when I machine washed and tumble dried on low heat. And again, if you've used these yarns, please leave a comment in the comments section and let everyone know your experience. If you like the yarn, how they come out, if you made a project after washing and drying, because these are just small samples. So I hope this video has been helpful. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you like. Please make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the crochet fun here on Creative Grandma's channel. So until next time, stay inspired and happy crocheting. Bye, everyone.